Most people turn on their phone's mobile hotspot and think nothing of it. You open your settings, flip the switch, share your connection with your laptop or a friend's phone, and move on. Simple, convenient, completely normal. What almost nobody does is check the settings that sit underneath that switch. And in 2026, there is one specific setting that your phone enables by default when you turn on your hotspot that you almost certainly do not know is on. That is broadcasting information about your device to anyone within range who knows how to look for it. And that creates a security window that takes about 30 seconds for someone with the right knowledge to exploit. This is not a theoretical vulnerability that researchers discovered in a lab. It is a documented real-world issue that cybersecurity professionals have been warning about, that major phone manufacturers have been quietly acknowledging in their security bulletins, and that most ordinary users have never heard of because it does not make headlines the way data breaches do. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly which setting this is, why it is turned on by default, what it allows someone nearby to see about your device, how to find it on both iPhone and Android, and how to turn it off in under 60 seconds before you use your hotspot again. The setting is called maximum compatibility mode on iPhone, and its equivalent on Android is the 4 GHz band selection. These sound like technical options that only network engineers would care about, but what they actually do is change how your hotspot broadcasts itself to nearby devices, and the way they broadcast by default makes your hotspot significantly easier to find, identify, and attack than it needs to be. Here's the background. When you turn on your phone's hotspot, your phone becomes a small wireless router. It broadcasts a Wi-Fi signal that other devices can detect and connect to. That broadcast includes your network name, known as the SSID, the security protocol your network is using, and the radio frequency band it is operating on. Maximum compatibility mode on iPhone forces your hotspot to broadcast on the 4 GHz frequency band rather than the faster and more modern 5 GHz band. The stated reason for this is that older devices, like some laptops and tablets from several years ago, only support 4 GHz and cannot connect to a 5 GHz hotspot. So Apple turns this on by default to make sure your hotspot works with as many devices as possible. The security problem is that the 4 GHz band has a significantly longer range than 5 GHz. A 5 GHz hotspot signal travels roughly 30 to 50 meters in open space. A 4 GHz signal can travel 90 meters or more. This means that when maximum compatibility is on, your hotspot is broadcasting its presence and its network name to a much larger area around you than you probably realize. In a coffee shop, a library, an airport lounge, or any other public space, that signal is reaching people you cannot see and who you have no awareness of. The range issue compounds with the second major default problem, which is the network name your phone assigns to your hotspot automatically. On an iPhone, the default hotspot name is your iPhone's name, which is typically something like John's iPhone or Sarah's iPhone 15 Pro. On Android, it is usually the manufacturer name and model, like Samsung, Galaxy S24, or Pixel 8. These default names are a problem for two specific reasons. First, they identify your device model to anyone scanning for networks in your area. Second, and more seriously, cybersecurity researchers have documented that databases exist online that contain the default passwords generated by various phone models paired with their default network names. This means that if you have never changed your hotspot password from the one your phone generated automatically, and if your network name follows the default pattern, someone nearby can potentially look up your default password in one of these databases and attempt to connect to your hotspot without your knowledge. iPhone's default hotspot password generation was specifically studied by researchers at the University of Erlangen-Nuremberg in Germany, who found that the default passwords are generated from a library of fewer than 2,000 words combined with 4 numbers. Fewer than 2,000 words is a very small pool for password generation, and the researchers found that certain words appeared far more frequently than others, making the effective pool of likely passwords even smaller. A targeted brute force attack against an iPhone's default hotspot password run on a standard computer can complete in a matter of seconds if the attacker has access to tools that run through the likely word combinations automatically. This is not a sophisticated nation-state attack. It is a straightforward technical process that requires no special skills to execute if you have the right software, which is freely available. The auto-join setting is the third default that deserves immediate attention. This is technically a Wi-Fi setting rather than a hotspot setting, but it connects directly to the hotspot security problem. The NSA, the National Security Agency, has issued specific public guidance warning that the auto-join feature on iPhones creates significant security risk. Auto-join is the setting that allows your phone to automatically connect to Wi-Fi networks it has connected to before, without asking you for confirmation. The NSA's warning states clearly that malicious techniques exploiting this feature are publicly known and in use. The risk is not theoretical, the NSA wrote in its guidance. The attack works like this. Your phone remembers the names of Wi-Fi networks it has connected to. When auto-join is enabled, it automatically reconnects to any network it finds with a matching name. An attacker nearby can create a fake hotspot with the same name as a network your phone has connected to before. For example, the same name as the Wi-Fi at your regular coffee shop or your workplace. Your phone detects the familiar name, connects automatically without asking you, and is now connected to an attacker-controlled network rather than the legitimate one. Once connected, the attacker can potentially monitor your internet traffic, redirect you to fake versions of websites you try to visit, and intercept credentials you enter. Kaspersky describes this attack in their public security documentation with precise language. The attacker positions themselves between you and the connection point. Instead of talking directly with the hotspot, you are sending your information to the attacker, who then relays it onward. The attacker has access to every piece of information you send, including emails, passwords, and financial credentials. This is called a man-in-the-middle attack, and it is one of the most common techniques used against people on public Wi-Fi and against people whose devices automatically connect to networks without verification. Now let us go through exactly what to change on both iPhone and Android to close these vulnerabilities. On iPhone, start by going to Settings and then Personal Hotspot. You will see a toggle called Maximize Compatibility. Turn it off. Your hotspot will now broadcast on the 5 GHz band by default, reducing its range significantly and making it harder to detect from a distance. Note that if someone needs to connect a very old device to your hotspot, they may not be able to do so with this setting off. For most people using modern laptops, tablets, and phones, this will not be an issue. The security benefit of turning it off outweighs the occasional inconvenience of an older device not connecting. Still, in the personal hotspot settings, tap on your Wi-Fi password and change it. Do not use the default generated password. Create a password that is at least 12 characters long and includes a mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. Write it down somewhere secure if you need to, because you will use this to share with people you choose to give access to. A strong custom password eliminates the database lookup vulnerability completely. Also in Personal Hotspot, tap on the hotspot name itself. This will open a field where you can change the name of your network, change it from the default iPhone name to something that does not identify your device model, your name, or anything personal. A random word or a neutral phrase works well. Anything is better than John's iPhone 15 Pro, which tells every network scanner in the area exactly what device you're using. For the auto-join issue, go to Settings, then Wi-Fi. Look for Ask to join networks and tap it. Change the setting from automatic to Ask. With this setting, your phone will ask you before connecting to any network rather than connecting automatically. This one change eliminates the evil twin attack vector entirely because your phone can no longer be tricked into connecting to a fake network without your active approval. On Android, the process is similar, but the menu labels vary by manufacturer and Android version. Go to Settings and search for Hotspot, or look under Connections. Then Mobile Hotspot and Tethering, then Mobile Hotspot. Tap on Configure or the Settings icon within your hotspot settings. Look for the band selection option. If you see a choice between 2, 4 GHz, 5 GHz, and auto, or dual band, select 5 GHz or the highest band your device supports. This reduces your hotspot's broadcast range the same way turning off maximum compatibility does on iPhone. Change your hotspot name from the default to something neutral and non-identifying. Change the password to a strong custom password of at least 12 characters. Also look for a setting called AP band or frequency band and ensure it is set to your preference. For Android's equivalent of auto-join, go to Settings, then Wi-Fi Preferences or Advanced. Look for Auto Connect or Connect to Open Networks and turn it off. Some Android versions have a setting called Turn on Wi-Fi automatically, which can be similarly problematic. Review these settings and ensure your device requires your explicit approval before connecting to any network. One additional step worth taking on both platforms is enabling your hotspot's maximum device connection limit. Both iPhone and Android allow you to set a maximum number of devices that can connect simultaneously. Setting this to the number of devices you actually intend to connect, typically 1 or 2, means that if someone does somehow get your hotspot password and tries to connect, they may find the connection rejected because you have already reached the limit. The broader principle behind all of these changes is worth understanding. Every default setting your phone comes with was chosen by the manufacturer to maximize convenience and compatibility for the broadest possible range of users. Convenience and compatibility are not the same as security. Default settings represent the manufacturer's compromise between ease of use for new users and protection against threats. By taking 5 minutes to review and adjust your hotspot settings, you are making a different compromise, one that prioritizes your security over maximum backward compatibility with devices you probably do not own. The NSA's guidance on these settings, the research from the University of Erlangen-Nuremberg on default passwords, and the documented real-world use of man-in-the-middle attacks against automatically connecting devices are all publicly available information. This is not alarmist content. It is documented risk that security professionals have been warning about for years, and that is straightforward to protect against once you know where to look. Your hotspot is a powerful convenience feature. Used with the right settings, it is also a reasonably secure way to share your internet connection with the devices you choose. Used with default settings in a public environment, it is broadcasting your device identity to a much wider area than it needs to, using a password that may be more guessable than you realize, and potentially connecting your device to networks without your knowledge. 5 minutes of settings changes eliminates all 3 of those risks. Do it before you turn your hotspot on next time. There is one more dimension to mobile hotspot security that has become more relevant in 2026 as the way we work has shifted. Remote work and hybrid work arrangements mean that more people are using their phones, hotspot, and public spaces as a primary internet connection for work tasks. Checking work email, accessing company systems, joining video calls, filing expense reports. Tasks that involve credentials, sensitive documents, and communication that you would not want intercepted. When you use a hotspot for work purposes in a public environment, the stakes of a security failure are higher than when you are simply browsing social media. A compromised hotspot connection during a work session can expose employer credentials, client data, and communications that have consequences beyond your personal finances. Many employers now include guidance on hotspot security in their remote work policies, but compliance with that guidance depends on individual employees actually knowing what the risks are and how to address them. If your work involves access to sensitive systems, consider using a VPN in addition to the hotspot security settings described earlier. A VPN, or virtual private network, encrypts all of your internet traffic between your device and the VPN server, meaning that even if someone is monitoring the Wi-Fi network you're connected to, they see only encrypted data rather than the actual content of your communications. Your employer may already provide a VPN for remote work access. If not, reputable commercial VPN services are available for a few dollars per month and provide a meaningful additional layer of protection for work done over public or shared internet connections. The combination of correct hotspot settings and a VPN represents the standard that IT security professionals recommend for people who regularly work on sensitive matters outside of a secure office network. Correct settings reduce your exposure from the hotspot itself. A VPN protects the content of your communications, even if your connection is somehow compromised. Together, they address the primary threat vectors that a mobile hotspot user faces in a public environment. One final setting worth reviewing on both iPhone and Android is the option to automatically turn off your hotspot when no devices are connected. Both platforms offer this option, and it is worth enabling if you use your hotspot intermittently rather than continuously. When your hotspot is on but no devices are actively connected, it is still broadcasting its presence and its network name. Enabling automatic shutoff means the hotspot turns itself off after a period of inactivity, reducing the window during which your device is visible to network scanners in your environment. On iPhone, this setting is found in the Personal Hotspot menu. On Android, it is typically in the Mobile Hotspot settings under Timeout settings or Auto Off. Every minute, your hotspot is broadcasting unnecessary. That is the complete checklist. 5 changes, 5 minutes, done. 5 changes, 5 minutes. Do them before your hotspot goes on again.